Hello and welcome to MS-4004. My name is Lockie and I'm here to take you through how Copilot can help you in your workday. Now, before we begin, a little bit about myself. I'm based in Canberra in Australia and I am a Microsoft technical trainer. I help clients in high compliance scenarios get skilled up in a whole range of different areas. But my specialty is in multi-cloud and also hybrid cloud. That means I've done a lot of work with clients with documents all over the place. And using Copilot as an impetus to kind of bring things together and make the best use of all of the document libraries you have, the databases you build, it's kind of been my modus operandi the last few years here. So, what am I here to take you through? Well, with the lens of high compliance, I do a lot of work about how Copilot actually works under the hood. It's important to understand what it's doing. And my goal is for you to have a good understanding of how it actually works, not how we say it works or how it's said it works in the sales material, how you can actively use it in your workday, and how it works best for you in your specific scenario. So, without further ado, let's begin and start talking Copilot. Now, specifically, we are here today to talk about Microsoft 365 Copilot. There are many Copilots in the Microsoft ecosystem, and Microsoft 365 Copilot is the one that is designed to work with all of the components of Microsoft 365 and Office 365 more broadly. So I think before we begin, it's good to get a little bit of a level set. Let's talk about what it is, what it isn't, and what it's being built upon. So, Copilot for Microsoft 365 is the main child of what we're going to be talking about today. It's the main topic of our course and the main thing that we are focused on. But there are many Copilots, as I said. The Copilot for Word works differently to the Copilot for Excel, the Copilot for Outlook, Teams, Loop, and the rest of the Microsoft 365 ecosystem broadly. Each individual Copilot has its own set of special skills and is designed to work in a specific way. We call these two different types of experiences either standalone or embedded. The standalone experience for Copilot for Microsoft 365 is what you'll get at office.com or over in the Copilot app on your machine. Additionally, Teams actually makes use of the standalone version of the Microsoft 365 Copilot app, and it uses this to be able to reach out to Teams messages, look at calendar invites, and be able to bring in broader context about how Office works on the day-to-day. When we use an embedded experience, we use those in-app. And many of my demonstrations are going to focus on that in-app experience. This is where we focus in on some specific skill set. When we use Copilot in Excel, it's great at coming up with new formulas. When we use it in Outlook, it's designed for drafting emails and being able to coach us into, well, writing the right thing. When we're using it in Word, it's about recreating a document, redrafting, coming up with new suggestions, and looking for new improvements within that behavior. Each Copilot has a specific set of skills, and we look to utilize those whenever we can. But I keep using this word Copilot, and I think it's nice to just have a little bit of a background about what a Copilot actually is. Like, what is Copilot for Microsoft 365? We know what it's going to do for us, and I'll give plenty of demonstrations about how it's going to work for you. But under the hood, it's really three separate components. The first is an LLM, or a large language model. There are many different companies out there coming up with large language models. LLMs are designed to reach out to large data sets of information and be able to find patterns in how human language is written, and a little bit of how human language is spoken as well. We use this to be able to find easy, predictable pathways. So when we say, I have a pet, what's the next word? It could be dog, it could be cat, it could be bird, but there is a pathway that we can follow, and we know what the most likely response is going to be based on the data that we originally feed in. Now, critically, LLMs are packaged and static. Your information is not used to retrain or improve an LLM. These are things that we utilize and that we update over time, but these are generally provided by an external company. Whilst we as Microsoft do make various large language models and small language models ourselves, our research team is very skilled in that area. OpenAI is the main basis for many of the different packages that we use in the LLM space. Now, away from the technical jargon, what are we adding in when you go for a Copilot? The first thing is the protections and guardrails that you come to expect with a Microsoft system. These are things that do evolve and improve over time. We use this to ensure that when you use a Copilot, it responds in an appropriate manner. It behaves in a way that makes sense for an enterprise. You want something that you're going to use at work to feel like a tool you should be using at work. So we leverage the different pieces of our ecosystem, the different APIs we already have access to, and the great skill we already have in terms of filtering language, in terms of making sure that it is fair and responsible in its responses, and ensuring that it is grounded in a level of reality and accuracy. And the last critical piece, the thing that makes Copilot for Microsoft 365 something different, is the graph. Now, what the graph is a reach out API where we can hit an endpoint, a point in your environment that says, what's on your calendar? What's in your Outlook? What's on Teams? This is the thing that allows us to feed in all of the baseline components of the LLM, packaged with those protections, and then we add on the content you provide from your Microsoft 365 environment. So, baseline package wrapped with all the protections and guardrails you need to be enterprise ready, and then you bring the content, the thing that makes it personalized to you specifically. That is what a Copilot is, and that is what Copilot for Microsoft 365 is when you actually use it on the day-to-day. The Copilot system is designed to be able to give you a simple, trusted place to be able to do your work. We use these LLMs in combination with the graph in order to give you that proper, seamless integration across that Office 365 suite. And additionally, you can expect that there is going to be contextually aware responses. So that is the baseline of what Microsoft 365 Copilot is and what it's going to provide for you. There is a critical thing that you do need to know about this work version of Copilot. It is license-based. So you do need to ensure that you have the correct license in your environment and that it has been enabled in your environment today. Copilot is not on by default. It is something that an organization needs to enable. Of course, right now, for non-work use, you have access to a Copilot. Over on Bing, there is a Copilot available for general use and for great web queries. But it's not designed with enterprise protections in mind. It's designed for general search terms and general use cases. If you are looking to integrate with Microsoft 365, pulling your emails and all of the things you expect out of a work environment, that's where we're going to require a license. So if you don't have access to it today, there's a couple of things that need to happen in the back end there, and that might be why. Now, let's talk about what Microsoft 365 Copilot does for you specifically. The three things you see on here: understanding context and user need, transforming how you work, and giving yourself a whole bunch of key capabilities. These effectively show what a base Copilot is able to normally do. The understanding of context, that's based on the graph. The more we can pull in from there, the better we are able to work with the data you provide. Transform how you work, large language models, and the secondary piece of that, a natural language processor, means that we can take the questions you ask, run them through an algorithm, and then the LLM can process them and give an output that feels right. It feels like you're talking to someone, like you have an assistant or a Copilot on the side. And of course, the last thing is that baseline LLMs have many key capabilities that we are leveraging. The ability to rewrite, to analyze, to find different components, whilst also ensuring that you are, well, secure. You have access to the things you should have access to and no more. It's critical to ensure that we're managing all three of those pieces. This right here is the logical architecture of how a Copilot actually fits together. And I like to leave this one in just as a way of giving you one last set of how the graph actually functions. Just remember that a Copilot alone, the thing that we see at this point, that Microsoft 365 Copilot out of the box, it does great work, but doesn't know you. The graph, the thing that means that if it is something you can't see, Copilot can't see it. If it's something that you are able to pull, Copilot can pull it. We use your permissions. So if Copilot can see it, you can see it. That is a really important part of how we have designed this. It should work out of the box with all of the various permissions you already expect. So always keep that in mind. Now, there's one last piece of this that I haven't actually defined properly yet. We talked about LLMs already, those pre-packaged components, and we've talked about Microsoft 365 apps. But I only really quickly went through what a natural language processing component is. One of the key things to remember with large language models, the thing that Copilot's based on, is that they don't really understand anything. It'll feel like it. They're extremely good at being able to predict what they need to say next to be accurate and say the right thing. But natural language processing is the actual thing that allows you to talk to a Copilot. It takes your language that you speak. English is the easiest example that I can think of for what we tend to talk about here. I have a dog. That will get translated into 1, 2, 3, 4, a series of numbers that represent the words we're saying. Then all we need within the large language model is to find the pattern of those numbers within it. And then at the end, we need to then run it in reverse. We need to take the output of numbers we have and be able to feed them back into normal language. It's the 1-2, going from things you say in the way you like to say them, bringing them down, running them through an algorithm, and then outputting them back out. When you look at what it's actually doing under the hood, you'll be astonished at just how good Copilot is at being able to pick up what you need and how you need to access that info. Always remember, because of the way that the graph works, it is always based on a compliance-first opinion. If you cannot see it, Copilot cannot see it either. I know I've emphasized that already, but it's super important to say. What this does mean is that if you find that Copilot can see something that's unexpected, let your organization know. It means that you've been able to see it this whole time, and we need to get that fixed. This is an important piece of Copilot. It reaches out to all of the graph that is available. So if it is able to return something, you've always been able to see it there. Let people know if you ever see something that's not right. The last big piece I want to emphasize here, before I just show you a little bit of Copilot, is I want to talk to our responsible AI. Microsoft has, for a very long time, had a key set of responsible AI principles, and we adhere to them at all times. Responsible AI principles and practices around compliance with various government organizations and government bodies, making sure that we are using this in a way that makes sense and ensuring that you have access to the tools in a safe manner. This is our core goal. The AI tools that we have should be trustworthy. That is a key component of it. And we want to make sure that you are able to feel that these tools are trustworthy, that you can use them in the way that you expect and you can trust their output. Additionally, you should be able to be empowered to use these AI tools responsibly. We make sure that there are guardrails in place so you can use them and fall into the right space to ensure privacy and security is paramount. So always keep this in mind. We have responsible AI principles. We use this to define how these AI tools are actually designed. And we recommend that you follow those principles too. Feel free to take a look at the responsible AI principles over on learn.microsoft.com. We publish them out publicly and we're proud of them. All right, next we're going to go across and we're going to take a look at how Copilot works. And I'm going to show you just a few quick tours of some simple prompts that we can run to see how things work in our environment. Okay, so welcome to Copilot. This is available over at office.com, but as I mentioned, there's many different ways you can reach Microsoft 365 Copilot. Here on my main screen, I am currently in work mode. At the top of the screen, you'll see work and web. Work means that we are in your enterprise environment. We're going to use internal documentation and things that you have access to in your SharePoints, OneDrives, and also in any Teams, Outlook messages, etc. Straight away, we can see easy examples of some potential prompts that we can use for Copilot, such as, I've got a daily stand-up. Maybe I need some help preparing for that. Gabriel Woods has been contacting me. What about the latest messages from them? These are far from the only prompts that you're able to do with Copilot. The world's your oyster. Use your imagination and think about the ways that Copilot can work with you. It's using a natural language processing system, which means talk to it in a natural way. Use slang, use terms, but always be nice. Just like a person, Copilot responds better when you are kind to it and when you do say please and thank you. I know, but it does make a big difference. On this screen, there's a couple of important things that we need to know. First, the shield up the top. Anytime you see this shield, you know that your enterprise data is going to be protected. But the way this reflects is slightly different depending on what we're looking at. In the work mode, it means we're going to bring in your enterprise data. In the web mode, it means we're going to exclude it. So you've always got a guarantee that when you're using Copilot at work, whether you are using the web mode for general public chat or using the work mode for internal documentation, as well as potentially content from the web, we're able to make sure that your data is protected. You will see my little chat history coming on there as well. The chat history is always available in a little panel window on the right-hand side. Additionally, in the three dots at the top here, you'll see there's a little web content button. Sometimes it's good to flick that web content off, and so we don't pull in things from the web and we keep things purely internal. It's your call, but it's a nice little thing to work with. Now, what we're going to do is just a pretty simple prompt here. I have a daily stand-up coming. It's pulled in my calendar invite and it's got some information. Help me prepare for the project widget daily stand-up. Copilot is now running that prompt live. It gives me details about what's actually going in. We've got some additional components from external sources. This has pulled in some emails from my inbox there. It's also got the details in the agenda from the meeting itself and even who organized it. This sort of quick overview is perfect for what Copilot is great for. We see references to each of the things that it needs to reach out to. So if you need to pull in some extra data or get some extra context, you've got it straight away. And you've even got some follow-ups here. Drafting my update or give me a little bit of summary context on those extra emails. It's very easy and it's designed to be simple to pull in extra information from these other sources. So think about how you can use Copilot in your day. Now, this is the standalone experience. Beyond this, there is, of course, all of those embedded experiences. A quick tour of some of them. This is the embedded experience in Word. You have the ability to draft new documents with Copilot, as well as using it as a rewriting and coaching tool. Either way works well for us. Whatever works well for you is the way to use it. Within Word, there is also the side panel. And the side panel is great for asking general questions. If you need to ask a question about other documents, to pull some components in, or even link in external files, that's where you're able to do that and be able to create new content from other sources. In Outlook, there's two primary skills that we've worked with. The ability to summarize email threads, number one, very important. When I get a lot of emails overnight, I want to know what's actually going on and why I got so many. A quick summary of a thread can help you get up to speed fast and works brilliantly every time. The drafting of emails, It's a longer kind of process there. Maybe you want to change the tone. Maybe you've got the core points that you want to say, but you need to find a way to put it all together, get the context right. You can use the drafting capabilities to find that right wording, change the length, change the tone, even make it into a poem if you want to. If you're using Teams, two main ways we can use it. The Microsoft 365 chat is available, so you can use Microsoft 365 Copilot's full feature set, reaching out to multiple sources and getting context. Or you can keep it contained to a single chat thread. Both are useful in different ways. The chat thread feature is great if you're trying to work out what that action item needs to be from a long set of history, or with lots of back and forth in an asynchronous world, just what actually matters to me. What do I need to be doing here? This is far from the full set, but always remember that work-web switch. If at any time you want to remove the work context and only pull from the web, ask general questions. What is an LLM? How does this work? Tell me about this animal. The sort of things that the kiddos like to look up as well. Always use that web mode. The web mode also has a nice little feature on the side, the ability to go through and change the conversation style. Different conversation styles give you different responses. A creative response is going to go far off the beaten path, whereas a precise response is going to focus on the facts and figures. Take your pick. Within the Copilot for Microsoft 365, we focus more on the precise above all else. Accuracy is key when in an enterprise environment, so that's the key focus for us. Now, the big thing to remember is that Copilot and Copilot for Microsoft 365, it doesn't end with just the Copilot chat itself. AI itself and working with AI tools, it's both art and science together. Yes, there is definitely a lot of creativity and you have full freedom to use these tools however fits you. Truly, I want you to experiment and iterate. That is how you get better at these tools, and the better you get at using the tools, the better the responses. The better the responses, the better you're going to use them, and so on and so forth. It's a positive feedback loop, and it's brilliant. AI is designed to not give the same answer twice. Well, sometimes it can, but it follows whatever path makes the most sense based on what you've said. Change up your wording. Sometimes AI is what's known as usefully wrong. I know, but if you're looking for a creative thing or trying to come up with ideas, it's going to try and look for different pathways to follow each time. This means that we get different prompts, different thoughts, different ways of drafting or other areas to improve every time we ask. Use your different AI skill sets and use this as an experimentation. Don't treat it as a one and done, always the same. Use it as a conversational tool and a conversational partner to experiment and to test ideas with. Now, there is a number of clear best practices. You don't have to follow these, but following them will get you a better response, guaranteed, with any large language model. So of course, well applies to Microsoft 365 Copilot. First, be clear and be concise. Don't waffle on if you can avoid it. Try and keep your wording clear, try and keep it short, but don't leave things out. Always ensure that you are providing feedback if things are wrong. Ensure you add extra context if it's needed. Just try and keep it to whatever the minimum would be. Just like us, Copilot works best when it's a short phrase or short emails. But also like us, it needs all the context there. So make sure you provide it all together. The next and important thing is that you should trust what Copilot says, but at all times, verify. AI and large language model tools, they have great pattern matching skills and are extremely accurate. But there is a reason we have the disclosure that AI tools are sometimes incorrect. It's pattern matching. It's not a human with the understanding there. And just like someone who doesn't have all the context or maybe doesn't know the whole scenario where you're rubber ducking a question off, we want to ensure that we're checking their work. Make sure you check the responses from Copilot for accuracy, especially when you're dealing with very specific numbers. Additionally, Copilot's not actually designed as a replacement tool, so don't use it for everything. It's not skilled in every area, and it's not supposed to be. It's got specific skill sets to help supplement your workday and make you better at what you do. It's an extension, not a replacement, so don't over rely on it. Also, make sure that you just are creative with it. Do fun stuff, test things out, push the limits. Copilot is a tool that lets you unlock your creativity. And that is sometimes in the most menial of forms, but using it to extend out words that you find to struggle to get on a page, or just finding the right way to say that message. It's always a different way of using it, but focus in on being creative with it and using it in the way that makes you feel good. And the last two are important for us. Stay updated. We're always improving Copilot and adding in new protections and new skills, and ensure that you're prioritizing privacy and security. Those go hand in hand. New skills lead to new ways of using Copilot. New ways of using Copilot lead to new areas that you might not expect. So always be understanding and be cautious when you're working with sensitive data. Copilot will work with your sensitivity labels and all of the things we expect, but you still need to be careful and still need to be cautious. So always be thinking at the forefront, how am I prioritizing privacy and security while still getting the most out of the tool? Now, when you are building a prompt, what you are looking at here is the most effective way that you can write a prompt. Again, you don't have to follow it, but a best practice gets you best results. Always give Copilot a goal. In this case, I want 3 to 5 bullet points. Context, it's for an upcoming meeting with a client. That's going to change language, tone. It's going to change a lot about what we are responding. Give the expectations, a tone that is friendly but authoritative. That's important. We're changing how Copilot's going to say things, and that's going to change a lot about the different ways we put it together. And of course, your source. If you only want Teams messages, if you only want emails, only provide those. This goes for all different types of prompts as well. As much as the examples here are focused on Teams and email messages, if you are drafting a document, you're thinking about summarization, you're creating a presentation, whatever it is, think about the ways in which you can effectively prompt your environment. We have some great guidance on effective prompts over on learn.microsoft.com. So if you're looking for more information or deeper dives into what makes an effective prompt, go check it out. Last of all, in the best practices, there are also a few simple don'ts. Always be clear and concise. Don't be vague. When you're vague, Copilot will respond in unpredictable ways, just like a person would actually. If you don't give them the details, they're not going to quite know what to say. So they might do something that's unpredictable. Focus on if-then conditionals. If it doesn't work here, go do that. If you don't find this, go do this instead. Get creative. Use analogies. I use slang all the time, and it works great. If you can't quite find the word, use the one you've got at hand. Think about it and just talk to it in the way that makes most sense for you. One that's a really nice hidden feature of the way that LLMs work, great at role playing. If you need to put it in the shoes of a client or put it in the shoes of a manager, tell it it's a manager. That's its job now. And it will go through and it will play that part. It can be really good for testing out stressful scenarios or really just trying to work out what sort of questions someone might ask in the room. And the last important one, you don't have to put it all in one prompt. It can be a conversation. We call them chats. And this chat back and forth can be a series of different prompts. Each chat is a totally new context. So bring in the information you need and then ask for the details of it all together. Summarize the context, summarize the content, and bring all the parts in before you go through and do that. Last of all, you know that Copilot's not going to be good at everything because it's not supposed to be. It is a skilled tool. It's a scalpel, not a hammer. If you have a repetitive task, that is great for it. If you've got clear tasks with repeatable pieces, that is what it is good at. If it's something that's ambiguous and requires interpretation and is hard to work out, that's something that Copilot can assist with, but it needs you to make that last bit of the difference there. Be clear, Say please, be polite, be curious and ask preliminary questions, and iterate. Iterate, iterate, iterate. This is the most important part of getting good at using Copilot. So provide feedback to it. Say, that's not what I was expecting. I want it more like this. Give it samples. Give different pieces of information. Do what you can to try and find the right sort of response. Beyond this as well, if there's something else you need to bring into Copilot, your organization can actually extend it into external tools. We support a whole range of ERP and CRM applications to be able to pull in document stores, wikis, blogs, you name it. If it can integrate with the graph already, we can integrate it with Copilot. So if you're looking for a way to extend this out, there's many different options you have available. All right, now that we've gone through the basics, I think it's time to work out what Copilot can do for you. Let's dive in, and I'm going to show you some options on how Copilot works for your specific environment. For communications professionals, delivering clear, compelling, and timely messaging is at the heart of effective engagement, both inside and outside the organization. In today's fast-moving, content-heavy environment, Copilot becomes a powerful partner in helping you craft the right message for the right audience at the right time. Whether you're drafting executive speeches in Word, coordinating campaign assets in SharePoint, building newsletters in Outlook, or preparing leadership briefings in PowerPoint, Copilot is embedded across the entire Microsoft 365 suite to support your communications workflows. It helps streamline content creation, maintain consistency, and manage complex messaging plans with ease. I've pulled together some practical use cases to help you hit the ground running and unlock the full potential of Microsoft 365 Copilot in your communications toolkit. Let's dive in. Our first place to visit is going to be Microsoft Word. Word is a great place where you are looking to draft any sort of written or spoken content. It's a nice, easy place to be able to just grab any sort of brief introductory content, or you're looking to get summarizations of research. Now, I want to actually tackle a very specific problem. We need to create a communications brief, but we need to use a reference document to be able to get product specifications and ensure we're getting the right details. Now, I have an example prompt that I'm going to bring in, so let's go grab that right now. All right, so the prompt that I'm going to be going through is that I want to craft a strategic communication brief using a Datum's Pulse platform. For now, we don't need to know what that is. We'll get to it. For the company's leadership executive team. Now, that executive leadership team component is important. That tells an audience of who is going to read this, and we're going to use that as a way to set tone, language, technicality, components like that. The brief should highlight the platform's strategic value, alignment with business goals, and potential impact on employee engagement. All good things to note in a briefing. Now from here, we need to attach a file to be able to reference it directly. You'll see that in the sample prompts along the top, they're often referencing individual files, and we can do the same thing. If you hit /, you'll bring up a file attachment dialog. And from here, we can start looking for the thing we're interested in. A Datum, Pulse, it's right there. Now, if we didn't find the file we were looking for, not a problem. Simply hitting the upload button allows you to browse files from the cloud, both on SharePoint and OneDrive. Now, we'll grab our product specification. Let's hit generate and see what we come back with. All right, first draft is nearly done. It's coming out now, and we're initially getting some pretty decent areas of impact, actually. It's hit all of the spots I asked for explicitly, and it's even brought in a little bit of a datum data from our company briefing. Okay. We've got some next steps, good, potential impact on employee engagement, key features, really the things that we asked for. So I'm very happy with that. Now, there is a little bit of stuff that I don't actually see here. So I think I'm going to ask for it explicitly. I happen to know that there's some data analysis components within the reference document. So I think I want to bring those in and see if we can get them structured into something that makes it easy to identify. So I want to just go through and let's just see, is there a data analysis section that you can add to the document based on the reference document attached? Please format as a table. And you can absolutely do that. If there's something you would like to see as a table or a dot point or something different, make sure you bring that one in there. Now it has said that there isn't a reference document attached. And in fact, this has gone in a direction I didn't really want it to do. Having said that, I am actually happy with this data analysis section. So we might need to think about how we want to adopt that in. Not a problem. For now, since I've gone in a different direction than I want to with the draft, let's go back to the previous version of the draft. We can always go back and roll between different versions at any time to be able to add individual components. Well, let's ask a different question then, something that I can be a bit more confident with. How about we add a new section titled Change Management and Adoption Strategy? Now, I clearly can't type today, got to get my spelling checked, but that's all right. We always keep these on the fly, so we're able to bring them in. Let's try that one more time. I've got some extra pieces that I've also included there. We want to look specifically how the communication team plans to support the rollout of the platform. We've got some internal messaging components. I want to look at onboarding campaigns. I've actually been quite specific with the example prompt that I'm pulling in. So let's take a look and see what data Copilot is able to add in towards the end there. And I suspect it'll be towards the end. That feels like the right spot for this. And in fact, there it is. The change management component is right before our next steps. Scrolling up, we can see it's adapted the change management and adoption strategy. It hit those areas that I explicitly called out: internal messaging, leadership alignment, onboarding campaigns, and adoption strategies. I think that's looking pretty good so far. Now, there's a couple of last things that I'd like to actually verify. Whilst I'm happy with the tone, I feel like it could use a once-over. So let's be clear about who's going to consume this brief. So ensure a professional tone throughout the brief and make sure it is appropriate for C-suite audiences. Now, by stating that we're interested in C-suite, your CEOs, CFOs, etc., there's going to be some modifications to tone that we can see throughout. Just little tweaks here and there. Let's take a look at the conclusion specifically. A data impulse is not merely a communication tool, it's a strategic enabler that empowers leadership. It's all very business speaky. Let's go back one option. It's more than a communications tool, it's a strategic enabler designed to empower leadership. But the way it's been formatted is actually changing quite a bit as well. We're looking at something much more direct, tighter, a little bit shorter. Shorter. Could we shorten the brief? Shorten the brief by 20%. Sometimes a modification is simple. We don't need anything complex. We've gone through, I've asked for something just slightly shorter, and it's done exactly that. It's lopped off about half a page from the last page there. So, at this stage, I'm actually pretty happy with this. It's even done a few modifications to sentences to broadly reduce the size of each one. Let's hit keep, and I want to do one last piece of analysis. But I'm taking it out of the draft mode. You can see that things aren't highlighted in blue anymore. That means that we're no longer in draft mode, and we're now in the edit mode, where I can go through and essentially ask for rewrites of small sections of the content, but we're not drafting the document as a whole anymore. What we're going to do is one last piece with the Copilot side pane. The side pane is a great place to go if you have additional questions about the document as a whole. And for this, I'm going to ask a broad question. I actually want a review of the brief. Does it address the strategic alignment? Does it actually meet the things we're looking for? And is there some extra content that I can potentially add in? We're going to expand this out a little bit because I suspect it's going to be quite a bit of information it's returning back. Let's take a look and see what comes back and what information we have access to. All right, first of all, Brief has a comprehensive overview. That's good. It's got a good job of aligning the platform. I'm happy with that. There are brief mentions of analytics, but adding some clear KPIs could be an improvement. I actually don't disagree with that at all. Implementation considerations, some changes around adoption strategy. We've got the components around leadership concerns, so more just around how it's going to support data-driven decisions. That's definitely something we should take on notice. And we've got a number of different strategic additions we could look to. At this point, we could absolutely just insert this into the document, but this feels more like something we should pass to someone. So hitting the copy button down here will allow you to take this and be able to move it to Teams or an email message so someone can take a look at the document in context and we can start to look at it there. Additionally, I could easily just pull out some of the pieces here, copy them across and bring them into the document if there's something of interest. And there we have it, our first draft of our Pulse platform brief, ready to go with the right tone, ready for the right audience. Now, with the brief out of the way, we're at the stage where we're ready to actually start announcing to people internally what we're adopting. So what I think we should do is actually go through and craft an email that we can send company-wide to announce what this is. What is Pulse? How is it going to work for the staff? And what is the platform that's going live on the intranet? So here we are in Outlook. We're going to go through and create a new mail message. I'm just going to pop this out to another window so we can see everything properly and get a nice big view. There we go. Immediately, Copilot is ready to help. Draft with Copilot has shown up down the bottom, but of course, we can always access Copilot in the top right-hand corner where we have our coaching and our drafting sessions. Before we do anything else though, the first thing I always recommend is to attach any reference documents you wish to use. For this, I'm going to head up to the attach, and I'm going to actually use the upload and share button. Or, if you've got it in OneDrive, you can use the OneDrive button. Take your pick, both are available for us. Now, the thing that we are interested in specifically, over in our files, I'm going to go and grab there we are, our datum Pulse product specification. Let's go through and attach that directly. Of course, you can share with OneDrive for internal documents, but I want to show you that this will still work even if you attach and upload a file directly. Now, I've actually got a pre-built prompt for this, but let me explain what we're looking at. So what do I want this email to say? Well, it's something a bit more complex than a simple announcement. So let's go through the full thing. I want to draft a company-wide email announcing the launch of the new intranet platform. There's the product spec speech, but it's too complex in terms of what is there. It's not meant as a consumable thing for all audiences. So we need to make sure that it is relevant to all employees and not just technical staff. There needs to be a focus on communication improvement and essentially something that is going to be easy to utilize. On top of that, it needs to be easy to consume above all else. Clear, concise, friendly, professional. That's what we're looking for. Let's kick things off and see what Copilot comes up with at a first pass of an email. Okay, first one so far. Hope this message finds you well and in great spirits. So we've gone for quite a professional but pretty friendly tone here. It's been designed with you in mind. One of the standout benefits is the ability to bring us closer, by having all the necessary information at the fingertips. Yeah, the wording's pretty good on this one. I actually want to see what it's like to adjust a couple of things with this though. When we go down, you can see that there's a little Copilot dialog which allows us to make quick changes to the environment. Now this can be as simple as just regenerating the content. Sometimes just having a second go at it will change the pattern that we find, follow a different pathway and get us something just a little bit different. I think that's expanded it out in a way I don't really like the look of. So I might actually go back to number 1. Yeah, these slightly bulkier paragraphs I think feel a bit better. We can also go through, make the content longer, shorter, do whatever we need to. as well as change the tone. Maybe we need to be more direct or more formal or structure it like a poem if we need to. I'm going to go with direct here. We want to be friendly and professional, but I think it needs to be just a little bit more professional. Again, looking at some of the pieces here, I don't know if I'm as happy with that one either. That's okay. Sometimes we do get it right on the first try, which is why we always give you that ability to go back through those different drafts. Pick the revision that works best for you. Whatever works best for you is the right answer. Now, I think maybe the issue is that we keep displaying all of the benefits in paragraph form. Let's try and recut those benefits another way. Can you create a draft with the benefits listed as dot points instead of in paragraphs? Let's see how this goes, because I think that's going to rectify the thing that I've been seeing. Yeah, having just a few key little dot points in the middle, I feel like it breaks up the rhythm of this nicely. We get all the pieces right in place, and we get that ability to have, well, essentially all of the info up front. Now, I want to have one more crack at the tone, but rather than using the pre-built commands, I actually want to, well, specify really strongly exactly how I want that tone to come through. Now for this, I have also pre-prepared something, but let me talk you through it bit by bit and why I've made the choices that I have. So, update this email to make the tone more inclusive and engaging. Note that this is specifically for remote employees. One of the big drivers for Adatum to adopt this Pulse platform was that remote employees were feeling left out. We want to support remote collaboration, so we need to emphasize in this onboarding email that everyone's getting that is one of the big benefits here. So let's make sure that we are including this as part of it and keep the message positive and clear all the way through. Let's give it one more go. We'll hit generate here. Let's take a look at that intro message. All right, similar language we're still using, finds you well and in great spirits. It's an exciting development that I believe will bring benefits to all of us, whether you're working remotely or in the office. We're calling people out explicitly. Additionally, we've added a little bit of extra nice content there around finding documents. It's all right there, easy to succeed. I think we're at a point where we've got most of the information we need out of the box. So I think we're ready to keep it. Hitting keep it takes us out of drafting mode. So if we need to redraft any of this content, it's as simple as just selecting it and redrafting it. Additionally, at this point, if you're not wanting to actually send this and don't want to send this document with the email, no problem. You can remove it and only use it for the reference point and then keep the email nice and clean. Now, there's one last thing that I would love for Copilot to do, but we're going to have to do a little bit of playing to make Copilot do what we need to here. I wanted to actually suggest a catchy subject line for me. When I right-click up here, we don't see that Copilot's available in this top part of the bar. We use Copilot in the bottom drafting section, but we can always ask for an additional section down here. So let's open up Copilot one last time. Can you suggest a catchy subject line that's sure to grab employee attention? Can't generate high quality content. That's okay. Sometimes Copilot's going to say it's just not possible with what you've provided. We'll give it one more go. That's looking good. Get ready for Adatum Pulse, revolutionizing our intranet experience. You know what? I think that's a great one. Let's hit replace here. It'll pull through that content, and then I can easily drag that up into the subject line. If you prefer to do this in the external window, not a problem. That's why you have Microsoft 365 Copilot's standalone view. You can have the chat open in your app and ask those sort of side questions there. But you've always got the ability to go through, use Copilot in whatever way you need, and then put the content where it fits best. Next up, I want to show you how you can use Copilot in Excel to work through document analysis. Using Copilot, we can come up with new formula and understand a little bit more about the information that's being presented to us fast. Now in front of us, I have the quarterly newsletter click rates for ReliCloud. To a certain extent, that doesn't really matter what it is. The point is, we've got some data to analyze and we need to start finding out some information. So, what we're going to look for is some patterns and outliers in the performance data, trying to find trends within the information and see if we can come to some sort of insight. Now, at the baseline, I do have the ability to go through and get deeper analysis directly by simply selecting the data that's interesting to me and then asking Copilot using the little prompt button there. But over on our main home ribbon, I do also have the sidebar Copilot. This is where I personally like to ask my questions in Excel because these questions are going to sit off to the side. I can ask what I need to, and then if it's relevant, I can get it to then insert it into my workbook. So let's just ask an initial question here. I want to see if there's any trends. So we will summarize trends in the data and identify any departments with below average engagement. At the moment, we've got a very, very simple conditional thing. If it's above 50, they're green. And then below a certain threshold, they're red. Let's see if we can make that a bit more nuanced. I'm going to hit send on this one. It's going to go through and initially start generating this information for me. And because I've asked for a summarization, we'll see what format it comes back in. We can see it's selected A1 to F11. That is the correct range, so that's wonderful. It's just going through and coming up with a few extra suggestions on how we might be able to analyze the data. All right, now, it's giving me some details here on how we can actually use a formula to generate a little bit of understanding of our information. Just zoom out one notch. So to identify departments with below average engagement, we can calculate the click rate, compare each department's rates to these, and there is the formula that it is actually suggested. Average of this, give an open rate, get a click-through rate, and then filter the departments based on that. All right, I think that's an okay spot, but maybe we should use one of the provided prompts to just answer the question for us. Which are the departments with the lowest engagement? Sometimes it's a little bit simpler than we might be going through. We'll get that analysis running one more time, pull it up here. There it is. Sometimes the answer is right in front of our face. The department with the lowest engagement is legal with an average open rate of 52% and an average click-through of 24. Okay, there's definitely some improvement that we can be doing there. I think next I'm going to bring in a prompt that I've already written. It's a little bit of a longer one, but it's going to show off some nice things. So what I'm looking for is a short summary that I can provide to the leadership team. Now, we want to look at overall department engagement and indicate what the average click rate across all the departments was, as well as some average open rates and a couple of other pieces of information. On top of that, I've also asked to identify the departments with below average engagements. Now, that's that piece before that Excel was very happy to say, here's a formula you could use. Let's see if we can get it to generate something complete for us. Let's provide that short summary, and we'll see what we come back with. All right, A1 to F11 again, selected the table properly. Here's a summary for the leadership team. All right, we've got an average open rate, an average click-through rate, we've got all of the details, and the departments with below average engagements include engineering, finance, operations, IT, and legal. And it gives all of the details about exactly what that means. That is a fantastic piece of final information to pull all together. If you're not getting the info in the way that you're expecting the first time, iterate. Sometimes asking the question in a different way, providing a bit more context, there's a lot of different ways we can approach it. It'll help you with being able to get a better response out of Copilot. All right, next up, I want to get a few little data insights about what we have here. Now, there is actually a pre-built command just called Show Data Insights. If you don't see it on the screen like we do now, that's okay. Simply ask the question. If you ask to show data insights, Copilot will look at the information being presented in the sheet in front of it and will try and work out some new way of cutting the data to provide some sort of innovation. So, really simple as a starting point, links clicked by department. Here's the lowest average of links clicked with only 12 links in the legal department. We already knew that information in one way, but this is kind of presenting it in a different logic. If we're interested in maintaining this, we can simply hit the button to add to a new sheet. This will go through, kick out sheet 2, and actually give us that information. Note this go back to data button that's now appeared though. This is that sheet logic. Copilot responds to the active sheet that's in front of it. So if you need to recut this data, find a new insight, anything like that, you need to go back to it. Okay, last thing here, at least in terms of modifying and playing with this data, I want to try a little bit of highlighting. What about highlight the top 3 and bottom 3 performing departments? Now, some of you may already know, we actually do have a conditional format policy that's doing some of this work. Where do we think we got that from? Silently in the background, Copilot already added this one. We've already got it in play. We can always check those pieces there, and here are the conditional format rules that it suggests. Click-through rate percentage, fill green, and then it gives the exact details of the formula. I can hit apply, it'll go through, find the piece of that that makes the most sense, and then we'll apply the changes across that entire space there. Changes have been made, no modification. It's matched our formula 1 for 1. So we know that we have basically nailed it. It's gone through and replicated the little formula we had in here exactly. All right, last thing, no more modifications, no more monkeying around. I just want to ask a simple question. Can you provide some suggestions on improving open and click-through rates for low performers? Copilot in Excel is a specialized tool, but it still has access to base Copilot response pieces. Even if you're looking for deeper data analysis, at the very least, you do have access to a list of different pieces of behavioral changes that you could make, different improvements that you could potentially look to. All of it is there. You are more than welcome to use it here, bring it across into M365 Copilot, whatever way works best for you. But if you just need a few quick suggestions to think about, you can easily grab these, take them elsewhere, copy them into a Teams message or an Outlook message, and send them on their way to those that need to see it. Now, here we have some questions that have been asked of leadership. And essentially, we've done a quick employee survey to see how the sentiment is within the organization. What I'm interested in is doing a little bit of correlation here. So based on the employee survey results, can we understand what the sentiment is and how that's working with our projects? We'll keep things brief here, but essentially, over in Copilot, I'm able to open up my right-hand pane here. Then I can grab a prompt, which I've written earlier. We're going to go through, get the details for each of the categories that we have, and I want to be able to get some quick insights. So for each category, provide a brief summary of overall sentiment. And I want to just make sure that I'm going to also include a little piece at the top to summarize overall employee sentiment by category. Let's ensure we do that just to make sure that things are definitely locked in. We'll provide a brief summary, all of a few little highs and lows, opportunities, and some important pieces here. So this is going to look across the data that we have in front of us and try and give a bit of understanding of the information that's been presented. Once I've got this, I'm going to bring that across and I'm actually going to save it as a document. I want to use it as a reference later, so we're doing this in a multi-stage process. This is a useful way to be able to do things and take multiple insights from different locations and be able to pull it all into a single location at a later spot. You'll see what we're getting to in a tick. All right, I'll hit copy here. we're going to head across into a Q1 survey results document that I've just created here, just a blank document for now, and we will drop in those results as they came through. Note it has still brought across my little reference notes here. You can actually easily ask Copilot to remove those if you so want to. But for my purposes, I think we'll be okay to leave them as they are. We've got 5 quick summaries we can fill in and quick little pieces we can pull together. Now with all of this, what do we think we're doing? What I'm going to do is use all of the information that I just gathered from different locations, and I want to create a speaking outline for someone to do a speech to the company. We're going to look and see about creating something that highlights projects, highlights employee feedback, and gives a closing motivational message. To do this, we're going to head across to Microsoft 365's main chat page. Back on our main homepage, Copilot Chat exists on the left. We'll bring it up now. And I have a prompt that I'm going to bring across. A 5-minute speaking outline includes all the project highlights, all the employee feedback themes, and a closing motivational message. I want to make sure that we include a call to action item in that closing motivational message, and I want to use those 2 files we just generated as reference points for the speech we're creating. All we have to do is hit Add Content, and we can attach our cloud files directly. And in my recent files there, number 1, number 2, our survey results, and the top 5 projects. We can even bring in that raw survey data if we think it's going to be useful. I think the summary is going to be enough, so let's stick with that. We'll hit Select, and then when we're ready, we're going to hit Generate. Okay, we're off to the races. 5-minute speaking outline that integrates highlights from Fabrican's projects. Quick introduction, project highlights, individual specific projects with the key points that we should go through. These feedback themes that are in place, areas that are well supported, as well as areas of improvement that we can focus in on. And then a quick closing motivational message. It's even pulled together context here. Based on the projects we're working in, it's clear what we're in. We're into EV components. So that's how we pulled everything together. Now, within your call to action, there's the 3 key areas that we've focused in on. We're not just a leader in the industry, but a place where every employee feels seen. I think it sounds nice. What do we think, though? Do you reckon we can do something a little bit better with that closing message? So in the closing message, I want to adjust the discussion topics to let them know that Fabrican is actually taking some of those lower performing scores seriously. We want employees to feel heard, so let's make sure that we emphasize that out. This first draft is going to make a big difference to the final output of it. So when we go through and we set that final message there, I think let's really emphasize our commitment. 2 areas stood out as needing urgent attention, recognition, and well-being. Well, let's make sure that we focus in on those and tell people that that is what we are doing. We want to make sure that we are prioritizing our employees here. Now, at this point, it's up to you where you'd like to go next. Can you please collate all this together in a single Word document? Well, that's an easy output there. We could ask for a presentation as well. We could even ask for additional speaker notes to be generated beyond this point, or use it as a redrafting setup. Maybe send it as an email for approval. But regardless, by asking for it as a Word document, there it is. We can grab our speaking outline, we can pull the details together, and we can start working on it and getting ourselves ready for that speech that we're going to give. And that concludes our session. You've learned how Microsoft 365 Copilot can serve as a strategic ally in your communications work. It'll help you inform, inspire, and align your audiences more effectively. You saw how you can use Copilot to draft, analyze, and refine content across Word, Excel, a whole bunch of different pieces of the ecosystem, and how prompting with clarity leads to better, faster results. With all these skills, you are ready to lead communications with precision and creativity. Start prompting and let Copilot help you shape the conversation. Thanks very much, and we'll see you next time.